আচ্ছা, আজকে ক্লাস ইকুয়েশনটা স্টার্ট করব আমরা। তো ক্লাস ইকুয়েশনের স্টেটমেন্টে যাওয়ার আগে ফার্স্টলি আমরা এই তিনটে জিনিস দেখে নেব যেটা আগের লেকচারে বলা হয়েছিল। আমি একবার রিমাইন্ড করে দিচ্ছি। বলা হয়েছিল যে ইফ রো বি এনি কনজুগেসি রিলেশন দেন রো উইল বি ইকুইভ্যালেন্স রিলেশন অ্যান্ড রেসপেক্ট টু দিস রো some conjugacy classes will be generated, okay, and G can be written as like this. That means G is partitioned into the conjugacy classes. So my G is equal to class of A1 union class of A2 up to class of AN. It can be written, okay, where my class of AI is conjugacy class. This is the first thing which we have already learned from our lecture 1. Next one is if A be any element from the center of the group, then class of A consists only A, no other element. This is we have already learned. And the third one is the number of total elements in the class of A is equal to the number of left corsets of the centralizer of A in G. This is the third one. Okay, now we will apply these three all together and we will form the class equation. Okay, so let's go to the class equation statement. What the statement is: let G be a finite group and ZG be the center. Let class A1, class A2 up to class AN be the distinct non-trivial conjugacy classes of G. Okay, remember this point, it is very important. It is non-trivial conjugacy classes of G. Then cardinality of G is equal to cardinality of ZG plus summation I equal to 1 to n cardinality of class of AI. Okay, or we can write this equal to this plus we have replaced this one by the number of left corsets of C of AI in G. Okay, this is the same thing we have already learned. Now this is called the class equation. Now we have proved that this happens. Okay, so let's come to the proof. So firstly, okay, now suppose capital G be a finite group. Okay, now if the group is finite, then the number of conjugacy classes of G are finite. Okay, now if A1 comma A2 comma dot 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 comma AN are representatives of each of the distinct conjugacy class, then G equals to union I equal to 1 to n class of AI. Okay, this equation is number 1. Now it is clear. Now what we have learned, we will again write this. Okay, we know that if AI belong to ZG, if and only if class of AI equal to this, and if AI does not belong to ZG, then class of AI intersection ZG equal to phi. Okay, because if AI be the element of ZG, then CLAI is a singleton set, and if AI does not belong to ZG, then definitely CL of AI is not AI. That means CL of AI will have empty intersection with the center of the group. There will be no element common in this two. Okay, so therefore G equal to class of AI union I equal to 1 to n will imply G equal to union class of AI I equal to 1 to n. Okay, not this, class of AI for all those AIs belong to ZG. Okay, plus union class of AI for all those AI does not belong to ZG. We can write G in this way. Now implies G equal to, if my AI belongs to ZG, then this class of AI will give what? Singleton AI. So union AI belong to ZG singleton set AI, okay, plus my all those AI which does not belong to ZG. Okay, now implies G equal to, now union of all those elements which are from ZG, this all together will form the ZG. So G is equal to ZG plus all those union of class AI which are not in ZG. Suppose I am writing this as I equals to 1 to n. Okay, so this is clear. Now since for AI does not belong to ZG, class of AI intersection ZG equal to phi, therefore now we can write it in terms of cardinality. So cardinality of G equal to cardinality of ZG plus union I equal to 1 to n cardinality of class of AI for all those AIs which are not in ZG. Okay, now just replace this one by the index notation. So therefore cardinality of G equal to cardinality of ZG plus summation I equal to 1 to n index G C of AI. Okay, and this is the class equation. Okay, hence proved. Now let's start some consequences of class equation. Okay, this is my class equation and now I will study some consequences of class equation. Consequences means I will start the first theorem in which I will use the class equation. So what is the theorem? If G be a group of order p to the power n, where my n is positive and p is a prime number, then ZG not equals to singleton set E. That means my ZG is non-trivial. When it happens, whenever G is a group of order p to the power n, any group of order p to the power n implies the center is non-trivial. So let's prove it. Now from the class equation of G we have this one, where A1, A2 and AN are the representatives from each conjugacy classes such that Xi does not belong to ZG, because in this case my all these AIs does not belongs to ZG. Okay, now come to the main portion. Since AI does not belong to ZG, therefore C of AI, that means the centralizer, not equal to G. Okay, I hope it is clear, because if AI belong to ZG, then AI will commute with all the elements of G. That means all the elements will commute with AI. So C of AI becomes G. Okay, so if AI does not belong to ZG, then definitely C of AI not equal to G. Okay, now I am giving this class equation as number 1. Now from equation 1, equals to zg plus summation I equal to 1 to n. We can write this notation as mod g by cardinality of centralizer. Okay, we all know it. This can be written always. Now since centralizer of AI not equal to G, therefore cardinality of C of AI divides cardinality of G. Why? Since centralizer is a subgroup of G. And by Lagrange's theorem this happens. Therefore, what is the order of the group? The order of the group is p to the power n. So my order of this will be, therefore let order of C of AI equal to p to the power some Ri, where Ri is positive number and less than n. Okay, now therefore what happens with this one? Mod G by mod of C of AI equal to p to the power n minus Ri, and this is a positive term. Okay, now look at this equation. This is my p to the power n minus Ri. Okay, this is my p to the power n. So p divides this one. Okay, p also divides this one. Okay, now if the equation has to be exist, then definitely p will divide this one. Okay, so write down as p divides order of G and p divides this one. Therefore, from, you can give it equation 2. Equation 2, we have P divides Zg, order of Zg. We can write this, that P divides this one. Okay, now cardinality of Zg is always greater than equal to 1, we know. Now since cardinality of Zg greater than equal to 1, therefore if P divides this one, then Zg, cardinality of G must be greater than equal to P. Okay, as P is prime, thus Zg not equal to this one. Hence proved. Now come to the next theorem. The statement is, for any prime integer p, every group of order p squared is commutative. Okay, if we consider any group with the order p square where p is any prime number, then the group will be automatically an abelian group. Okay, to prove this I will use the previous concept. That means whenever the order of any group is p to the power n, then Zg will be non-trivial. Okay, so let's start. Let order of G equal to p square. So as the order of G is equal to p to the power n kind of form, so therefore Zg not equal to singletony from my previous theorem. Okay, so and as order of Zg divides order of G. Therefore, order of ZG equal to P or P square. Okay, as ZG is the subgroup, then definitely order of ZG will be a divisor of order of G. Thus, the order of ZG can be P or P square. So, suppose order of ZG equal to P. Okay, if order of ZG equal to P, then what will happen? There exists A belong to G such that A does not belong to ZG. It will definitely happen. Okay, as the order of ZG is less than the order of G, then there must exist some element small a such that which belongs to G but does not belong to ZG. Okay, now consider centralizer of A. What is my centralizer of A? My centralizer of A is collections of all those x belong to G such that XA equal to AX. That means collection of all those elements which commutes with A. Okay, and we know that centralizer of A is a subgroup of G. More precisely, ZG will be a subgroup of C of A. Okay, why this will happen? Because if you take any element from the center, that means that element will commute with all the other elements of the group. That means that element will commute with this A also. That means that element will be a member of C of A also. Is it clear? I'm saying this again. If you take any element from the center of the group, that means that element will be commuting with all the elements of the group. Okay, that means that element will commute with this particular element A also. That means that element will be a member of C of A. That means this will happen. Now, but A belong to C of A, it is very true, and A does not belong to ZG, which we have assumed. Therefore, ZG not equal to CA. Thus, ZG will be a proper subgroup of CA. Right? That means this portion is cancelled out. It will not exist. ZG is not equal to C of A. So, ZG will be a subgroup of C of A. Thus, order of ZG less than order of C of A. Okay, this is a very important step. Order of ZG will be less than order of C of A. Now, but C of A, order of C of A divides order of G. Why? Because since C of A is a subgroup of G, it will happen by Lagrange's theorem. Now, order of G is P squared. So, what will be the order of C of A? It can be P or P square, but it cannot be P, because if it is P, then it will be equal with ZG. So, it will be P square. Therefore, order of C of A equal to P square. Okay, now order of C of A is equal to P square implies what? That means the order of G is equal to order of CA, and CA is a subgroup of G. Therefore, it implies that C of A equal to G. Okay, now whenever C of A equal to G, that means what? A commutes with all the elements of G. Therefore, AX equal to XA for all x belong to G. That means A belong to ZG, which is a contradiction. Okay, that means we have already assumed in earlier that A will be not in ZG, but we have reached the case where it shows that A belong to ZG. So it's a contradiction, and this contradiction is due to the assumption that my order of ZG equal to P. So therefore order of ZG equal to P square. As it is P square, so therefore ZG equal to G. Since ZG is a subgroup of G, okay, so ZG equal to G, that implies what? That implies G is abelian. Hence proved.